Yeah.
Thank you so much. Like we said on the previous screen, this is the information session for the Oregon Department of Human Services Virtual Eligibility Center eligibility workers. That's a mouthful. That's why we really like our acronyms. The ODHS VEC eligibility worker positions. We have 4 different active recruitments right now. And just as a reminder, you can use the features in Zoom to have this transcribed if you prefer. We are recording. You're welcome to turn off your camera or change your name using the features on the screen we just discussed if you prefer. We will take verbal questions after we stop recording during our Q&A session at the end. Okay. So we'll start with introductions. Since I've been talking, I'll just introduce myself first. My name is Alyssa Walker. I am lucky enough to be the recruiter for these 4 requisitions. I've been with recruitment at ODHS for a little over 4 years. And before that, I've held various roles. I've been an eligibility worker. I've been a manager. I've been a front desk staff. So I have lots of fond experiences over the last probably 12 to 15 years. So I'll pass it on to Denise, one of our hiring managers. Denise, you want to introduce yourself?
Good afternoon. My name's Denise Dixon. I'm an operations manager at the Virtual Eligibility Center. I've been here 7 years, started as an eligibility worker, then was a lead worker, and then a manager. And I will be the hiring manager for the monolingual positions.
Thank you. Magdalena?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Magdalena, and I am one of the hiring managers for the bilingual positions, and I am a supervisor with the Virtual Eligibility Center. And in a month, I will have been here for 13 years, and I've also held a number of positions with the agency. Great to see everyone.
Thank you so much. Rebecca?
Yeah, hi, thank you. My name is Rebecca Corbis, and I work through the Virtual Eligibility Center as a public benefits specialist or an eligibility worker. And I've been in my role for about 4 years, and so really excited to be here today.
Thank you. Kyle?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kyle Sorensen, and I also myself am a public benefits specialist. I've been with the agency just shy of 2 years, and I'm working the VEC as well. And I just want to say I'm really excited to see all these faces here, and thank everybody for being here with us today.
Wonderful. Thank you. And I have 2 of my recruitment friends with me. I'm very grateful they're here to support. Suhei, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello. Yes, my name's Suhei. I'm a recruiter here with ODHS. I've been with the agency for about 4 years.
Thank you so much. And Nadia?
Hello, everybody. My name is Nadia. I'll be monitoring your chat and letting people in. So if you accidentally drop out, I will just let you back in. And I am a recruiter, and I've been here for, I think, 5 years now. Nice to meet everybody.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to move to the slide. We're just going to show you real quick what our agenda is today. We're going to do our best to answer your questions. If we can't get to all of them, feel free to reach out to me. I will put my contact information in the chat. It is also available in each of the job announcements. So in the chat, I'm putting my contact information. And then I'm also going to put and hopefully this copies and pastes okay. I'm going to put the links. These are external links, right? So if you're a current state employee, just know you'll need to apply through the internal Workday application process. But since this is open to the public, I'm going to share or attempt to share the links to all 4 of these requisitions. So hopefully that came through okay. If not, let me know. Or Nadia or Suhei, if you can let me know since we're keeping everyone muted. Thank you. So we plan on talking to you very briefly. There's a lot of information in the job announcements. I would encourage you to look through that. There's lots of links that take you to more information, more details. So we're going to be, I'm going to be at least brief in the overview so that we can really get to the heart of what these positions do on a daily basis, give you the information you need, and have enough time to answer your questions. But we'll briefly touch on sort of about our agency and Oregon Eligibility Partnership, which is a program within ODHS, team environment, job duties, working remotely. Really excited to hear from our two eligibility workers, Kyle and Rebecca, that joined us today. And then I'm going to go over some recruitment information and tips. And then, like I said, we'll stop the recording at that point and then move to the Q&A section. Okay. So about ODHS and OEP. So that's Oregon Department of Human Services and Oregon Eligibility Partnership. And here I'm going to share some links as well. These two links I put in the job announcements. So you'll find them there as well, but I'm going to put them in the chat so you can learn in much more depth about our program and our overall agency. The Oregon Department of Human Services is, obviously human services is in our name. Our mission is to help Oregonians in their own communities achieve well-being. And that is, respecting their dignity, their choice, all sorts of things. There's a lot of different programs underneath ODHS. Depending on somebody's experience with any part of our agency, sometimes they automatically think of one thing. But under ODHS is aging and people with disabilities, child welfare, developmental disability services, self-sufficiency, voc rehab or vocational rehabilitation. We have an IT department, we have training jobs, we have analysts. It's such a big agency. I think we're 11 or 12,000 people now. So we're a very large agency. And Oregon Eligibility Partnership is just one part of that. We're a big part of it, but we're just one part of that ODHS family. And that really centers on the work determining eligibility for all the programs and benefits that we administer. We do have in our job announcement a lot of really great information. We may touch on it a little bit later, but in case we don't have time, I just wanted to share some links that talk about different aspects of our work culture. So our Equity North Star, our RISE culture, and then a really big part of us is also our employee resource groups. So I'm going to put those links in the chat. Again, they're also in the job announcements. So you can learn more about those in greater detail. And I will move on to team environment. I think this is where I'm handing it off to Denise, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it Magdalena? I'm sorry, I think it's Magdalena.
Good afternoon, me again. Yes, it is me. Let me get my notes over here. Well, welcome everyone. Good to see so many people here interested in these positions. They are crucial to the work that we do within our agency. And hopefully, if you're here, this is not the first time you hear about our agency's mission, but I will go ahead and repeat it again because you'll hear it probably throughout the presentation. But our mission at ODHS, Oregon Department of Human Services, is to help Oregonians in their own communities achieve well-being and independence through opportunities that protect, empower, respect choice, and preserve dignity. In this role, you will support participants by providing professional, respectful choice, and preserve dignity. In this role, you will support participants by providing professional, respectful, and person-centered services using a trauma-informed approach. This ensures that every interaction honors the unique experiences and needs of the individuals and families we serve. And as Alyssa mentioned, you'll get to hear about Kyle and Rebecca's experiences later in the presentation. When it comes to onboarding and lead support, there is a new hire onboarding, which is designed to provide structured and comprehensive professional development experience for all new employees within the OEP statewide BEC. The process prepares new hires with the skills, knowledge, and understanding needed to integrate successfully into the organization's culture, expectations, and workflow. So some of the key components of the onboarding experience are training pods. You'll hear a lot about the training pods. POD stands for Professional Organizational Development Group. And in this group, you will have a lead assignment. So there is a specific lead worker that will be assigned to you. And then you'll also have your manager assigned to you. So as a hiring manager, I'm here to help through the hiring process. However, you'll get a supervising manager as well. So once you have that supervising manager and the lead, they'll both be part of your pod. So it's a unit that will basically walk you through the training process. They will help you with your individualized training path. They'll provide structured learning activities, including on-the-job training and peer shadowing. They'll clearly define goals and milestones as you're going through the training process. And then you also get to participate in graduation from onboarding. And even once you've graduated from the onboarding pod, you'll continue to have ongoing supportive integration into daily operations. So this is really it's very hands-on. And honestly, the lead and the manager walk with you and alongside you through the entire training process. Once you've reached that point of graduating from the pod, you'll actually get to join a different lead Zoom, if you will. So it's a lead Zoom room that is in teams where they actually provide you one-on-one support with policy. So you always have support. There's always guidance available to you, which is one of the really nice parts of the training. You will participate in monthly check-ins with your assigned lead and manager. And then these meetings are designed to offer you support, address any questions, and provide continued learning opportunities for you. The leads will guide you through the process, offering communication, direction, and then they'll start reviewing your work once you're in that part of the process. As part of your training plan, you will complete a series of virtual training courses. So all of the learning is virtual learning. This includes Foundations for Success, Eligibility Essentials, and program training. Those programs include the Oregon Health Plan, which is OHP, Qualified Medicare Beneficiary, QMB, Oregon Supplemental Income Program, OSIP-M, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, Employment-Related Daycare, ERDC, and Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. Commitment to quality. We have a commitment to quality and respectful service. We are committed to delivering high quality work and fostering an environment that respects, understands, and honors the lived experience of our clients, our colleagues, and the communities we serve. Our approach to customer service is guided by the OEP community agreements. You will hear about the OEP community agreements in multiple settings, daily announcements, which is like a huddle type meeting with your peers. We'll go over them there, and then just many of the meetings that you attend in OEP. The OEP community agreements will shape how we show up for one another and for the people that we serve. These agreements include confidentiality and permission, lifelong learning, leaning into discomfort, decentering dominant culture, prioritizing impact over intent, repairing harm, and allowing space for growth, self-compassion, resilience, and community care. These principles ensure that our delivery of service is thoughtful, culturally responsive, and aligned with our values as an agency. Adaptability to policy and process changes. This role requires flexibility in responding to ongoing policy and process changes. You will work with multiple forms, computer systems, tools, and resources to determine eligibility at an intake, during benefit renewals, and recipients report changes to their household circumstances. Providing clear explanations of applicant rights and responsibilities, program policies, processes, and eligibility outcomes is essential. We are committed to delivering services that are accurate, culturally competent, and aligned with agency standards. Lastly, high work volume. And this is a big one. Work assignments are updated daily by the VEC workflow team. As a remote employee, it is essential to remain self-motivated and able to manage a consistently high workload while maintaining professional, timely, and effective communication through phone and email. You will be expected to balance a significant volume of tasks while also sustaining a strong working knowledge of relevant programs, community resources, and referral processes. And then I believe I'm handing it off to Denise.
Thank you so much, Magdalena. That was wonderful. So the job duties, we have cultural competence and humility. ODHS is dedicated to creating a workplace where every employee is valued for their full and authentic self. We integrate trauma-informed practices into all aspects of our work because we recognize that people bring diverse experiences, strengths, and perspectives to our agency. As a new applicant, we want you to know that our agency goals guide how we support both our staff and the communities we serve. These goals focus on strengthening policies, procedures, and activities that reflect our commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. In service to children, families, and adults across Oregon, ODHS is actively working to reduce disparities in outcomes for individuals from a wide range of cultural and linguistic backgrounds. This includes providing mandatory training to strengthen cultural responsiveness and trauma-informed practice, enhancing recruitment and retention efforts to support a diverse workforce, ensuring access to language services so individuals can engage in the language they are most comfortable with, collaborating with community organizations to better meet the needs of those we serve. If you choose to join ODHS, you will be part of an agency that is committed to ongoing learning, equity, and meaningful support for both employees and the communities we serve. We also rely on our core values. Overall, ODHS core values are a combination of the RISE culture elements and the foundational principles of integrity, stewardship, responsibility, respect, and professionalism, all aimed at fostering an equitable, inclusive, and supportive environment for both employees and the communities they serve. These values guide decision-making, program design, and interactions across the agency. So the core values are integrity, which is acting ethically and doing what is right, even when unobserved. Stewardship, which is responsible management of public resources and trust. Responsibility, accountability to clients, communities, and partners for actions and decisions. Respect, honoring individuality, diverse experiences, and cultural differences. And the last one is professionalism, in adhering to high standards of conduct, competence, and ethical behavior in all work. And then, of course, we have customer service. ODHS employees must provide a high level of customer service to ensure that we treat customers, stakeholders, community partners, vendors, and coworkers with dignity and respect, that we maintain a work environment that respects, understands, and honors the lived experiences of our clients, colleagues, and the communities we serve, and ensure that service delivery is provided in a culturally competent way, and we're providing communication to Oregonians in their preferred language and format by utilizing printed materials available in different languages and formats and the use of language services available.
Thank you. Are you ready for the next slide?
Yep.
Okay, just want to check. There you go.
Thank you so much. So when we look at the duties, about 75% of the work is determining program eligibility. And then we have about 15%, which is triage, information, and referral. So that could be reaching out to other agencies or our one triage for help with the system. We have continuous development and improvement, about 5% of our time. And then other duties as assigned is another 5% of the time. Our three main types of work are incoming calls, which is just exactly what it says. That would be answering calls as they come in. Each call is new and different. You never know what you're going to get until you actually answer it. You could be processing a brand new application. You could be just updating information such as an address change or a household change. It could be information that we have requested from them that they are calling in to give us, or it could be just a renewal of a case that is already active. And then we have appointments. Appointments are just that, exactly. They're pre-scheduled appointments with a customer, with a client, whether they have a case or they don't, they want to do a new application. We call out and we do that with them. It could be for one program or multiple programs. And then the last thing we have is tasks. And there are a couple different kinds of tasks. When people are assigned to tasks, you don't answer calls or call out unless you have questions about the information that you're working on. Tasks are usually information that has been sent in. It could be an application for one or more programs. It could, again, be information that we have requested, such as social security numbers, check stubs, or information verifying anything else on the case. And then we also have renewals, which is just processing a renewal of a case that is already in effect. We don't know what our work assignment will be until we come in for work each morning.
All right, me again. So I'm truly excited for each of you. The public benefit service specialist role is a vital one in our agency, and your work will make a meaningful difference for many lives, for many individuals and families. I can tell you, for someone that worked previously in a storefront office as a benefit and eligibility worker and now in a virtual eligibility center, there is a big difference. While the work is similar, right, you're working in a remote work environment. So it is important to consider some of the differences and if a remote work environment is right for you. Something to consider is self-management. Are you someone who can stay motivated and on task with limited supervision? As far as technology, the agency will provide you with basic technology equipment and related devices necessary for the assigned job duties. However, it is a requirement that you provide your own adequate internet. As far as technology, as far as communication, are you communicative? Are you able to communicate effectively through tech platforms such as Teams, Outlook, and Zoom? Do you have the appropriate space? Do you have the appropriate space with minimal distractions? And is it private to ensure client confidentiality? Dependent care. Do you have adequate dependent care while working from home? Has its perks in terms of cutting childcare costs. It must not interfere with the duties of the job. And then interaction needs. Remote work primarily takes place in a virtual setting, and engaging with your teammates and manager in person is limited. Is virtual interaction right for you? Employees working remotely will adhere to all expectations, standards, and policies as they were performing work at their agency's central workplace, including adherence to performance standards and measurements. There is a working remotely out page, and we can provide that link, but there is a policy that is specific to working remotely that you can read over. And then working conditions, Denise, I believe that's yours.
Okay, so the working conditions for this position, as Magdalena said, it's a virtual learning environment. So that means that everything is done via Teams or Zoom for the training. Remote work also, unless it's otherwise specified by the business need, which means that there may be a time that you could be asked to go to an office. That business need may require reporting to a local storefront office for trainings or technical support or to pick up equipment. The work consists of being on the phone regularly and processing work electronically. The work schedule is non-negotiable for this position. It is Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time. This position, you may also interact with customers who are under emotional or financial stress, and you may interact with customers with behavioral or cognitive challenges.
Great, thank you. Sorry, I'm still getting over a bug I had, so I'm coughing a lot. Hopefully only when I'm on mute, but I did want to share, I have a link that I'll share about remote work, but I do think it's different than the one that Magdalena referenced. Just note that the one I'm going to put in chat is specific to those who are outside of Oregon. At least the section that I highlight, perhaps that is the same one. We can double check and just make sure when we send the follow-up email that everything's included in there. I have had some questions about working in different states because the job announcement does say that employees working out of state will be like a case-by-case basis. So I don't have a list of states specifically. I can just tell you from my experience, which is only, like a fraction of the time, right? I haven't seen a state within the 50 states specified that has been denied. Maybe others have any input, but I haven't heard of that yet. I just can't confirm, yes, this particular state is great, because I don't know if we already have employees there or not. So I just want to let you know that I won't be able to confirm the specific state, but I also don't know of any restrictions within the 50 states per the policy. So hopefully that helps a little bit. And there's something else I was going to say, but it's slipped my mind. So we'll continue with the presentation. Any other pieces you wanted to add, Magdalena or Denise, before we move to the next slide? Okay, great.
Alyssa, we have one question in the chat.
Yeah.
It's about the break time. So, lunch, is it 30 minutes or 60 minutes? If you could just elaborate on that.
Yeah, that's a great question. Denise or Magdalena, do you want to take that? Is there an option for 30 or 60?
So sometimes there is, it just kind of depends on the manager, the supervising manager, and the business need. So I know that there are some people that come in a little later and take a 30-minute lunch. However, with this position, you wouldn't be able to take a 30-minute lunch and leave at 6:30. It would, if it was allowed, it would be the other way around.
Okay, thank you. And I think I saw another question in the chat, and it reminds me, I did get this question before the session as well. We don't have the ability to work internationally outside of the specified 50 states, even for existing employees going on vacation, right? So I am just not aware of any way to do that. So if I learn of something different, I'll let you know. But right now, whether it's working consistently outside of the boundaries or on vacation, it's just not something that I have seen approved to date. So hopefully that helps clarify that a little bit too. Okay, so let's see. Nadia, is there any other questions you want us to touch on, or are we good to move to the next slide?
Melissa, I do see one question. I'm so sorry, Naja, where somebody's asking if you have to speak Spanish. And so I didn't know if you wanted to just reiterate what we're hiring for.
Thank you so much. Yes. So there are 4 different job announcements. The one that is specific to Spanish, English bilingual required does require fluency. We do contract out for all of our language testing, and it is a high level of fluency. So if somebody reaches out and they say, I know conversational Spanish, is that enough? I can't determine that for you. I can just tell you that it's a high level of fluency, and the job offer will be dependent on passing that language test at the level that we require. So it's not an optional if it says required. So that's the same for our Spanish English bilingual required requisition. We have another requisition that is specific to Russian English bilingual required, and we have another one that is specific to Vietnamese English bilingual required. With the 4th one is just English monolingual. It does not require or have any preference for somebody being bilingual or multilingual. I do talk about that a little bit coming up in the slides, but I guess I'll just mention it here. I have had some folks reach out and say, I am bilingual or I am multilingual, but not in the specified languages. If that's the case, I recommend applying for the English or just monolingual requisition, the one that has the 13 vacancies. Because what happens is if you get hired on an English speaking, just monolingual requisition, and you are bilingual or multilingual, once you're hired, you can ask your supervisor and let them know, hey, I'm bilingual. Can I take the test? The supervisor will need to get the approval to allow the testing. So there's a bit of a process to it, but it's possible that they'll say, great, we have the budget for that and we can use that language. Let's put you through the language testing, and you could receive that same 5% bilingual bump in pay, the differential. So it's possible, but just know that if the job announcement specifies a requirement in a specific language, that is the language that's required in order to obtain employment through that path. So you're welcome to apply for multiple. You can apply for the English monolingual and the Spanish, and I just recommend apply for everything that you're interested in. If that rec number, it's usually the REQ dash and then usually 6 digits. If that rec number is different than something you've applied to, even if it looks similar, apply to both and track those rec numbers that you're applying for to give yourself the best chance, right, of getting the interviews and getting that job. So hopefully that helps. And I think there's a little bit of an adjustment, really ongoing. It's hard for us to say the exact number. I know that there's 13 right now English speaking vacancies open. I'm trying to remember. I believe the Spanish required is 6, if I'm not mistaken. I believe the Russian, there's now 2 openings, and I believe the Vietnamese bilingual required is 2 openings. But the reason that can shift a little bit is we are able to hire, like, let's say we have a great candidate pool. We would love to hire 10 people, but we only have 2 positions. We can hire the top 2 scoring into the current vacancies and let the others know you're a top candidate. If we have a vacancy open up within a reasonable amount of time, which is usually a few months, we can go back and offer you that position. So we can tack on additional positions to a recruitment. So that's why sometimes we will post for 1 vacancy or 2 vacancies, but within a number of months, depending on how our business needs shift and our vacancy shift, we could potentially hire more. So it's a little bit of a changing number, and it's hard to be really specific on any given day with that because it changes over time. Like I said, we are a very large agency. There's a lot of movement, which includes promotions too. So that is a good thing. So I know there's probably more questions, but I'm going to go ahead and move to the next slide just so we can stay on track. And this is where we get to introduce our eligibility workers. Very excited to hear from both of you. Thank you for being here and sharing your perspective of doing this actual work. And I formulated some questions. Kyle and Rebecca have, divided up who's going to answer what, just to give you their perspective. So is it Kyle that I'm handing it off to first?
Yes, that would be me. All right, perfect. Well, once again, I know we have new people that have joined. So for those that missed out, my name is Kyle Sorensen. I am a public benefits specialist. I've been here just about 2 years, and I work in the virtual eligibility center. So once again, thanks for being here. So let's give you a little insight as to what we do. Well, first of all, the first question here is how did I learn about the eligibility worker role and what motivated me to apply? To be honest, in my personal experience, I worked at a local health department before this position, and I was a community partner for with DHS. And every time I would interact with people from DHS, I was like, man, that's where I want to end up. I just really liked the energy and the vibes, and it really caught my eye. So I applied, I'm not going to lie, maybe 3 or 4 times before I finally got in. So for those that are in that boat, I want to encourage you to keep trying. We do receive a lot of applications, but just be persistent and good things may come about. And basically what motivated me to apply, another reason is at the health department, I was in a manager role, and I had lost that connection with the public, with people. I'm a people person. I love to help people. And that role was not fulfilling that. So now that I'm in this role, it's great that I can talk to people and help them out, meet them where they're at, and just be a positive influence, in their lives and while we're on the phone. Next question is, what's the most challenging aspect of this role? And once again, this is just coming, kind of from my side. The most challenging thing for me was probably the first 6 to 8 months, where you just want to know everything. You want to do your job right, and you want to perform well. And this job has a lot of layers to it, and not to scare anybody, but there's a lot of layers. I'm going to take that, like the movie from Shrek, it's like an onion, right? All the programs have different layers and different results, and there's just so many different moving parts. So I wanted to know everything right out of the gate, and that's not what happens in this job. After being here for 2 years, you're still learning stuff, and things do change. And then another thing that was challenging is basically the changes that happen all the time. I don't want to scare people either, but the changes they happen, and sometimes change can be scary. But I will say that we do get really great support here to face those challenges and changes, which kind of leads me to the most rewarding part of the job. First of all, it's the I feel like it's the team environment. My actual direct supervisors on this call, it's Magdalena, and she has really embodied how I think teamwork should be, and the communication is great. And sometimes you beat yourself up as an employee, and I feel like everywhere you turn, there's managers here that pick you up. Our leads are really good about picking you up when you feel like you're experiencing challenging cases. Um, they kind of give you tools that you may need to be successful, and they don't make you feel, dumb or stupid. They really uplift you and help you, get to the right answers. And another rewarding part about this job is just connecting with the clients. Like I said, I love people. I love being able to turn a stressful situation into a positive situation. And we talk to a lot of elderly people as well, and I feel like there's a lot of elderly people that live alone. I've learned working here, and just being able to talk to them, and they get happy that they have someone to talk to. That really grows on me, and it makes me feel good to do this job. But I think that's all I have for right now. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Rebecca, do you want to carry on with the questions? So curious to hear from you too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Kyle gave such a great explanation too. So some of the questions that I have highlighted, I'll start off saying for some of you that joined later, my name is Rebecca, and I've been working through the Virtual Eligibility Center for about 4 years. And um, my past work experience, just kind of talking about the training, and I agree with the Shrek analogy of the onion. There's a lot to it. And there's a lot of changes that happen. And so, how do you learn that, and how do you understand how to process that on a daily basis? My past work experience was primarily in other fields, and so eligibility for the most part is new to me. I did have some prior work experience working with community action agencies and helping to coordinate heating benefits for the low income heating and energy assistance program. In my current role as an eligibility worker, I have been able to see how that program sort of interfaces with other programs and learn some different aspects of it. And so it has been pretty interesting to kind of see it in a different way. Um, but my experience overall with the training was excellent. And I think Magdalena and Denise, they really outlined the training well as far as the timeline and expectations in the role. Obviously, you're going to have to adapt to changes, and there are going to be changes. But initially, you get enrolled in remote learning programs to just kind of from a high level view, understand the different benefit programs that we offer. And then there's ongoing workday trainings where you can, get different topic trainings, different specialties. There's also really great eligibility guides that are very detailed as far as, how to. I sort of describe them as like a recipe. If I'm going to make something, I pull out the recipe, but they're constantly being updated and they're very, very helpful. I've never seen such extensive training really in any role that I've had previously. And I do feel very supported in my role. There's leads that are available, and Denise is my manager, and we have regular check-ins and have since I've started. And along the way, if I had a specific area that I was having concerns, or if there was something that, I just wasn't comfortable with, we could kind of talk about it and collaborate and make a plan. And the learning is ongoing. It's something that you're never done learning. They say we're lifelong learners. And as the programs change and adapt and there's new best practices, we're constantly getting new updates and opportunities to brush up and kind of expand our knowledge on that. Um, the next thing would be just kind of talking about remote work. It can be challenging and it's not for everyone, but there can be a lot of benefits. I find it to be really rewarding. I think other people have covered to the fact that having a dedicated workspace is absolutely critical, and making sure that it's functioning well for you, that you have what you need, that you have confidentiality and privacy, and that you're able to be present when you're on the phone with people. There is excellent technical support that's available. There's a whole team and a help desk that is available all day. So if you're having technical difficulties and you can't get it resolved, they're great in being able to log into your computer if they need to, or kind of help you walk through how to troubleshoot it. And then another thing that I did want to talk about, the working a schedule that's not your typical 8 to 5. I was a little bit concerned about that initially, and just having the later start time. I do have a family, and I've been surprised at how much I really enjoy having a later start time, especially in the mornings. Once I get my kids off to school, it's very quiet, and sometimes I find that to be a really productive time for me. So those things can be really benefits for you if you find ways to structure them to where your work can be supported. The last thing that I kind of wanted to talk about was just being a member of, they're called employee resource groups, or ERGs, as well as being able to participate in mentorship. As I've been in the role for 4 years now, I have had a couple opportunities to be a mentor for other people that are starting out in this role. And I really, really enjoy it. It's also a great opportunity for me to kind of brush up and make sure that I'm following best practices, and that, if I'm using a resource that's been updated or replaced, that I'm taking that opportunity to correct it. But I'm very much a collaborative person. And so for me, I enjoy that opportunity to kind of connect with others and be a part of their learning and growth. And then the employee resource groups, I'm a member of a few different employee resource groups. One of them is called Mental Health Matters. And we meet on a monthly basis, and we have different guest speakers, and there are different presentations about health and wellness. And, they can have a varying range of topics, but I've found them to be really beneficial and really insightful personally and professionally. So I think having an opportunity to participate in things like that as a part of your work is excellent. So I'm just really excited to be here, and I absolutely love my job, and I feel really fortunate to be in this role. So thank you.
Thank you so much. It's such wonderful information. I appreciate you both sharing. It's just special, I think, to hear from your experiences and your path and all the things. So thank you for that. I know that we're short on time. In my brain, I was like, we have an hour, but I think the invite might have said 45 minutes, so I apologize for that time. I'm going to go through a few more slides. There are folks that are going to need to drop from the meeting. I am happy to stay longer and answer as many questions as I can, but just know that if we don't answer your question while we're here together in the Zoom, please put your question in the chat. I'm going to go through after and go through all the questions and send those out in written format along with the recording, just so everyone has as much information as possible. So this information I've put in the chat a couple of times. I know if you've joined afterwards, you might not see all the links, but I will share that out again in the email. These are the different requisitions. I mentioned we have 4, so they're listed there. All of them close next Wednesday, March 25th. And our recruitments, unless it says otherwise, they usually just close at 11:59 p.m. So when the clock strikes midnight, it closes the applications. So just be aware of that specific time. If for some reason you are having trouble uploading documents, you can always email them to me and I can upload them for you once you've submitted your application. But I have to receive your email before the deadline. I can't receive any information and upload after the deadline. So it really is a strict deadline. I wanted to make sure everyone's clear on that. I have included our goals. This is a large scale recruitment. And there's a lot of activity. So please know these are goals. We're going to do our best to stick with the timeline, but it's not unusual for these dates to shift a little bit. But I wanted to at least give you an idea of what our plan is and what we will try to stick to. If there are any significant delays, I will send a message through Workday. There's a way for me to send a mass message to everyone. Please make sure you opt into those messages. Sometimes I get bounce backs that somebody has opted out or if they haven't responded to the opt in or out question. But that is the easiest way for me to get information to all the applicants if there are any delays. The minimum qualifications. So these minimum, and a lot of this information that I'm going to share, you can apply to a lot of different ODHS jobs. The minimum qualifications are always going to be listed in the job announcement. They can be sort of tricky with the ands or the ors, right? So if you have any questions about this, you're welcome to reach out to me. But basically the minimum qualifications are set by the Department of Administrative Services, or DAS. We are required to screen by these. So if somebody doesn't show in their application materials that they have this required experience, the recruiter is not allowed to move them forward to the hiring manager. So it's really important to make sure in your application materials, you're showing that you have the required experience. So just pay special attention to the minimum qualifications in whatever job that you're applying for, including this one. The essential attributes are another important point. So once the recruiter, like myself, screens the applications for the minimum qualifications and refers those who meet those requirements to the manager is typically the one that's going to go through the application materials and screen it again for the essential attributes. So the essential attributes are the skills that the manager has identified as being super important for somebody to have on day one. So what are the things that we need in order to have somebody be successful? You know, keeping in mind, we're going to train you on how to do all the things, right? So we're not expecting you to come in and be able to know how to be an eligibility worker. We have training for that. But the essential attributes are the things that somebody needs on day one in order to be successful for us to build on to that training and knowledge for them. So do your best to address all the essential attributes that you do possess in your application materials. And I do want to share throughout our process, the same application materials are reviewed from different lenses, right? So there is sort of a bit of a myth that we want like only one page, like resumes obviously are not required, but if you do provide one, people think they only need to have one page. We want the details. We want the information. So there may be others that are advising you to make it as short, sweet as possible, one page, aesthetically pretty, right? But we're not looking for that at ODHS. The information that you submit, we're asking for long version resumes, details. You can include relevant life experience. You can include volunteer unpaid experience. You can include educational experience, obviously job history. All of those things are taken into consideration. So please give us all of that information so it gives you the best, puts you in the best position to have the best outcome, whether the recruiter's looking at it, the hiring manager's looking at it, or our equal pay team. Like if you're chosen to be hired, you'll be referred with the same application materials to our equal pay team, who will decide based on your experience and your application materials where you'll fall on the salary scale, where they're going to offer you a salary. So it's really important to give us all the information up front because all these different people throughout the process are going to be looking at the same materials. So again, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. But More is better, right? When it comes to our process, which might be a little different from some other employers. This is mostly for our internal or existing state employees. Oftentimes I will see people not list their current job. Make sure that your current job is listed in your application materials so you get credit for that when we're reviewing the materials. Include job title, company name, the month, year, start and end dates are really important. Sometimes folks will apply with only a resume and the resume doesn't show the month and the year, the start date, and the month, year, the end date. And that makes it really almost impossible for us to calculate your experience that we are required to calculate. So please make sure that that information is in your application and or resume. We just need it in there somewhere. Try not to stack. So if you've worked at a company, sorry, I need to get to drink water. If you've worked at a company where you've held multiple positions, please list those separately. Again, we're trying to calculate your experience. And if it doesn't show the roles and the duties assigned, we're not able to calculate your experience. So try not to stack jobs. List each job and company separately with the duties, because each role you have had different duties, right? So we need to see that separated out. We don't ask for dates for degrees. There's actually a law passed and we're not allowed to ask for the dates of a completed degree. We just need to know that it's completed. If you put the date, that's fine, but we're not asking for that. But please just indicate if it's completed or not so that we know. Upload your attachments into the resume section. I ask people not to upload them in the education section. If you have any trouble with uploading attachments, like I mentioned earlier, please submit your application and email me those attachments. I can upload them for you. I just have to receive your email before the application deadline. Okay. And I believe this is our last slide. Excuse me, one moment. I almost made it through without coughing so much. Okay. Thank you for your patience. We wanted to share a little bit of information about the interview process. Our interviews, it's a remote position, right? So we're going to conduct interviews remotely in a virtual setting via Microsoft Teams. Because this is a large-scale recruitment, I would anticipate that first-round interviews are going to be shorter than a standard interview. Typically, our admin staff who schedule the interviews and organize all of that are going to send you the questions in advance. Usually it's the day before, but I'm going to leave that up to them. But we do send the questions out in advance so that you can prepare. When I send the follow-up email, I will attach the position description. In any of our jobs, you can request the position description document, which is different than the job announcement. It gives you more details about that, so I will share that out. Just know if during the interview, and usually it's going to be the second or later round interview, if you're asked to provide references, the manager is trying to organize everything in advance. That doesn't mean we're going to check your references unless you're the top candidate. We have a practice where we don't check references on multiple candidates to make the decision. When we check your references, you've already been identified as a top candidate that we are wanting to offer a job to. We just need to check your references. So when you supply your references, they might be asking in advance. So I just wanted to clarify that. And at any point in time, you can reach out to whomever you're comfortable with if you need an ADA accommodation. That's Americans with Disabilities Act. So if you feel comfortable, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to the hiring manager. Really, whoever you feel most comfortable approaching, we want to make sure that we get those requests as far in advance as possible so we can accommodate those as much as possible. And again, with all of our jobs, you can always request feedback. It actually doesn't even have to only be for interviews. If you get a no thank you email before the interview, you can request feedback. But I especially recommend requesting feedback after an interview because it can be really helpful to hear back about that and to reflect on that. We use behavioral-based interviewing, so that might be helpful if you want to research that in advance of an interview to talk to prepare for how to talk about your example in a structure like STAR or SOAR. That is a behavioral-based interview format. So hopefully I didn't go too fast. We are over time. But like I said, I'm going to hang out for a little bit. I understand if any of my teammates do need to drop off, that is okay. But if we could stop the recording at this point, Suhei, so we can move into a little bit of Q&A. I know we don't have a whole lot of time.